Hi, everybody. Seattle Mike with Fights with Friends, and we have a special guest today. She's actually a gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist in Taekwondo, Dana He. And she's got a huge list of accomplishments. She's been in a lot of movies that you guys will recognize. And Ian Brewster, shout out to Ian for hooking us up for this interview. Thank you for doing this, Dana.
Absolutely. My pleasure. It's always fun to talk fights.
Yeah. So what came first? Was it that, obviously, I mean, you were in Taekwondo for a long time before you get to the Olympics, and then probably the movies came afterwards.
That is correct. I did my first movie called Undercover Blues with Dennis Quaid and Kathleen Turner, and made 20 grand in 2 weeks and had a hell of a lot of time, a fun time.
I bet. I'm sure you have some crazy stories from that and the Olympics. But can you walk us a little bit through like the Olympics? I know a little bit like about the tryouts, and you got to compete with, people in the US and win probably a lot of world tournaments and different things. But what was that journey like?
Regulations between way back when I competed and now are completely different night and day. So back then it was full contact fighting, and the best way to win was by knockout. Today is more of a point game, and you can just flick them with a toenail and get a scored point. Let's see, like I said, the best way to win is by knockout. So obviously you don't have as many rounds that you have to perform. So that's always the best way to go.
That's always the best way in fighting. I feel like that happens a lot with Olympic sports, though. And I'm a big judo guy. I grew up in judo, and that was what I did the most. And they just started changing that sport, kind of like you're talking about, to where, I mean, I didn't even recognize it. And they actually kind of brought judo back now. And they call it freestyle judo. It's just judo. It's just what it used to be. And I didn't realize that had happened to Taekwondo, though.
And it should not have ever have happened to judo, which is one of the oldest sports in Olympic history. It never should have happened.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what goes into the thinking for those guys and stuff. I mean, I don't know, somebody's offended when somebody gets knocked out or something, who knows? But I'm glad you got to compete in the sport when it was real fighting. So you're a true badass. Now they got some point fighters out there winning medals.
Yes. You never know.
Yeah. So what was the Olympic experience like, though, with the other athletes and different things? I mean, was there time to do anything besides prepare for the competitions?
Well, I had actually gotten injured at the Olympic trial competition leading into the Olympic finals. And so by the time I got to Olympic finals, I was very severely injured. And when I got to competing or training for the Olympics itself, the doctors basically said, you can't train anymore, otherwise you're going to not be able to fight. So 2 weeks before the games in Seoul, Korea, I was told by all the doctors that, hey, you're out, unless you can come up with something else. And so I did. I came up with visualization, and I would sit myself under a nice tree or a pagoda and visualize my fight moves over and over and over again. And that's what I did for 2 weeks before the games.
That was, from what I know, and just kind of my opinion, I guess it seems like that would have been one of the hardest Olympics, as you know, as a non-Korean, to medal, especially get the gold medal too, because I mean, Roy Jones Jr. got ripped off of his gold medal there. I mean, there was some little bit of dirty stuff going on behind the scenes there.
Yes, matter of fact, it's interesting because I was injured. I had to go to the Korean hospital every night, and I had to pass through very, very secure gates with what we call the ninja guards, all dressed in black and carrying machine guns. Wow. And so I struck up a conversation with these guys, and the biggest joke was, how are you, a white girl, ever going to win in our sport?
Yeah.
It's impossible. And so I joked with them and I said, if I win a gold medal, can I take a photo with you guys? And they were against, no, we can't take photos. It's against the law and against the band and everything else. And so they jokingly said yes. And I got my photo.
Oh, that's funny. I'm picturing like a place guarded like Into the Dragon, but then like add guns. It's like,
absolutely, yeah, very, very severe guarding. We had different levels of guards, and those were the most elite, the ninja guards.
Well, very cool. Adversity in the matches on the way to the gold medal. Anything surprise you? Besides your injury, of course, which is huge.
Besides my back injury and the fact that I couldn't kick, that was huge. But the fact that I was able to come up with another way of training without training, I thought was pretty fascinating, by going into my mind and visualizing fight moves and counters and attacks and defenses. And the other thing that I thought was interesting was that we had this beautiful Olympic park in order to train in. And so you get to train in the most beautiful spot in the world. And so how does it get better than that?
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I've never visited Korea, but yeah, I've seen pictures of those Olympics and stuff. That was the most memorable first Olympics, and the most memorable to me. This is the first Olympics I'd seen. I mean, I was 10 when it came out, but that was kind of my first exposure around that time to like combat sports and different things. And that's when I became a Roy Jones Jr. fan. And they didn't have, quite all the coverage of all the sports and things then, or maybe my parents just didn't let me watch. I don't know, but.
And there was an interesting story with Chinese Taipei at World Games. I had gotten injured by her with an illegal technique, and it really pissed me off because I couldn't kick anymore. It was something called a Charlie horse, and she kneed me in the thigh, and therefore I couldn't kick, couldn't do anything, and so she won the match. So I had a score to settle going into the Olympics with Chinese Taipei, and sure enough, I got that one too.
Hey, well, that's double then. Yeah, you get your revenge, get your gold medal. Couldn't come out of there with a better gift bag.
Yes, and I'm so fortunate that we don't have to wear masks these days. I mean, back in those days.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I can't imagine like training with the masks and things. Yeah, it's that does not seem fun. But
yeah, and also not having the audience participation, it makes a huge difference. And I felt sorry for the last games.
yeah, that had to have been. I mean, so many people missed out on so many things. But yeah, those Olympians. I mean, I can't think of anything, more so than an Olympic athlete that somebody, dedicates their entire life. I mean, it's literally the best people in the world. So yeah, that's I wish they would have had the fans and stuff there too, but hopefully we're getting out of all that, so. But I was glad to see that you had been in so many, martial arts movies, and I was stunt woman, doubles and things, but it just irritates me so much when I watch a movie and the martial arts are just really bad and not realistic. And it's just like, even if it was a good movie, like, I like Karate Kid. Me and my wife have been watching, and the kids have been watching like the Karate Cobra Kai. And it's like, yeah, it's a good plot and everything, but it's like, I want to pull you guys aside and be like, you need to work with real martial artists, because this is kind of crap sometimes.
Yeah, one of my all-time favorite films to do was a TV series called Mortal Kombat Conquest. And the thing is they hired the martial artists, the best of the best, and then had them do their best techniques. And so you got great fights and you got realism.
I didn't realize that, somehow I don't ever remember even hearing of that series. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's a shame. It was only on for one season. That's an episode of 6 months. And it's a shame that it's not seen more often. You'll find it more often online.
I'm gonna have to look it up and see if I can watch it then, because yeah, that's interesting. That's one of the things that when I started doing this channel 5 years ago, and it's like I started meeting a lot of people, and me and Ian had talked, and I had always had ambition to make like a martial arts movie, and I still do. They make like martial arts movies with all martial artists. So that's that's great that they did that. Just too bad that they canceled it.
Well, speaking of making martial art movies, I have a book out now called One Step with Courage, and it's available on Amazon, along with another book called No Fear, Zero Fear. But we're actually making a movie right now of the book One Step with Courage.
Oh, very, very cool. That's very cool. Yeah, everybody check out that book. We'll put links in the description, of course, to the books, and that's always got to be interesting. Having somebody write a book like on your life and stuff. And so how much control did you have over that? Did you feel like you had total control? Did you have a lot of people kind of trying to steer you in different directions?
Well, I wrote the book in its entirety.
Oh, good.
That one,
Okay.
and also the book Zero Fear. But what happens is once you start getting directors and actresses and producers involved, then things start to change, and there's nothing that can be done about it. It's just certain preferences, and we'll see how the ending comes out.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that you wrote it. So hopefully they don't mess with it much. One of the hardest stories I've ever had to hear on this channel was Mark Schultz, the Olympic wrestler, and they made the big movie where Channing Tatum played him, Foxcatcher. I don't know if you've seen it, but I had Mark Schultz on here, and he said that entire movie, he said almost none of it was true. He said they overrid me, wrote me on everything. And, he had another dispute that he felt like they were coming after him a little bit, but I hope they do you justice in your movie.
I do too. It's an inspirational story. And in a time when things are dire and there's pandemic and there's world crisis, I think we need something positive to hope for that will help inspire us. And so it is an inspirational movie about I was abandoned, abused, thrown to the streets, so to speak, literally. Ended up in halfway houses, government shelters, foster homes. you name it, and then was picked up and by a top Stanford University coach to do high jump. And it was always my dream to go to the Olympics in high jump and win a gold medal. But I chickened out and took the failure's way out and just quit and never even said goodbye or thank you to my coach. And it really, really got to me. And I really thought about that and about how chicken I was being. And I swore to God that from now on, I would draw the line in the sand, make a stand, and fight for what I wanted. And that ended up being Taekwondo.
Well, that's pretty incredible that you were able to get to that level, and in two different sports too. I mean, that speaks to your mental toughness as well, I think. And I think that kind of story will help a lot of people. Maybe a lot of people that are thinking, they're not confident enough that they can do something, or just or anxious, or just don't want to do it anymore. That's a great story.
The book that I have, One Step with Courage, is literally all it takes to accomplish your dreams and your goals. If you were to take your entire story or dream and you were to look at it in its entirety, there's literally almost no way you can accomplish it. I mean, because it's so overwhelming. But if you take it and you break it apart piece by piece by piece, it's amazing what you can do. It's amazing what you can perform.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to grasp how you were able to win, the gold medal in Taekwondo when you were injured, and the visualization thing. That is very impressive too, to not be able to spar. I mean, I really like visualization and stuff, but if I was going to be in a competition, it's like, I don't know that I feel very confident in myself if I wasn't able to spar.
Yes, it was a huge, huge deal. Especially the last 2 weeks of training is vital to your performance. You need, mentally, you need strength, you need speed, you need timing, you need precision, you need all of that together. And so the visualization, it is possible to do it with that.
Were you watching other matches or anything else, or was it just all completely in your mind?
No, completely in my mind.
That's pretty awesome. So I mean, I'm kind of curious about this, like kind of for myself in training and stuff. So how long were you visualizing per day, you think? Is just like a constant thing?
Well, we had training sessions 3 times a day, generally for about an hour, hour and a half. And so literally every single time that I could, I was visualizing.
Yeah.
So that's quite a bit of amount of time visualizing.
Yeah, definitely. You were also in one of my favorite movies. I'm a huge Batman fan. I haven't got to see the new one yet because I haven't got anybody to go with me. But I know Ian, he's a big comic book guy. I tell him, I'm basically a Batman guy. That's my favorite thing. So.
Yes, I was in both the Batman and Robin and Batman Forever, and had a lot of fun, especially stunt doubling Uma Thurman, where she's in this pink gorilla outfit, and all of a sudden she drops the green or the pink outfit, and she's in this green spandex bodysuit with 5-inch high heels, and she does this back fall. She does this back fall into the arms of 6 golden hunks. So that was the highlight of my career.
That's funny. But yeah, so you did Charlie's Angels, you did so many different films. You ever see any animosity or any fights or anything on sets? People get pretty testy with each other.
I have animosity. Oh, okay. I was thinking animation. um, no, generally the animosity is kept down, especially on Mortal Kombat Crusades, the TV series. We had such a high level of talent that everyone was kowtowing to everyone else. They're saying, hey, wait a second, you deserve to be here. Uh, these are your favorite techniques. You know, you got me over this one. And so it was very gratuitous.
I'm not surprised to hear that with the martial artists. I feel like every kid should be in martial arts. You know, I had my kids in martial arts and stuff, but everybody I meet in the community is so open and so humble. I mean, like I've talked to a guy like Randy Couture, you know, and I'm nervous. I'm super nervous talking to him. He's a world champion. He's like, just relax. It's just another guy, just another conversation, Mike. And, you know, he's talking to me, but you know, I imagine in, you know, other sports or other venues and things that people are not that approachable.
Yeah. Working with some of the actors can be a little bit tense on occasion, mostly because a lot of times they're in their head.
Yeah.
You know, you might have a method actor who is totally in the moment, you know, Charlie Sheen. I mean, when he's playing that part, he's really playing that part. And then you have actors like Rene Russo who are much more calm and centered and much more amiable.
Yeah.
You know, to saying hello, to greeting you, to just being polite.
Yeah, I imagine Charlie Sheen's a super interesting guy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much time you got to spend talking to him or around him and things, but he's a very interesting person.
Well, there's another book that I have that's going to be coming out called My Dirty Laundry, and so I'll be sharing some little secrets and tips and tricks in there.
Uh, well, we'll look forward to that for sure. So when we say interesting to get those kinds of stories and things. I usually ask people, especially like martial artists and things, have you ever had to use your martial arts outside a competition? Have you found yourself in a situation that you had to defend yourself or defend someone?
I ended up in a domestic violence situation where I did have to use a little bit of technique. Short of that, I found myself alone with a girlfriend, shorter girlfriend, and we were being stalked across the street and across the street. And literally, I turned around and said, "Hey, what do you guys want?" Like
Yeah,
I was in their face, like, "Hey, I'm not going to back down. So what are you going to
yeah,
do?" So they crossed
yeah.
the street. So they crossed the street.
Oh, that's funny. That that's how my daughter is, but I keep on telling her, I'm like, honey, she's small, she's tiny. I'm like, honey, you realize you're 5'2" and 115 pounds, right? And she's not a Taekwondo gold medalist, but I think some confidence does, you know, does help sometimes.
Always.
That's pretty good. So what's your day to day like now? Just writing books?
Actually, I divide my time between writing books and riding horses.
Oh, very
Um,
cool.
I work with a couple of horses, and it's nice to just to get out in the open air and with the sun, especially on a cold day, and just work with the animals. And sort of that, work on the books and do a lot of bill paying.
Yeah, yeah, that's all of us, I guess. Hopefully our bills don't continue to go up at too high of a pace.
Yeah, $8 a gallon in California. Boy, that's increasing it.
Oh man, yeah, I seen that somewhere was close to $8 a gallon. I'm not sure what area of the country you're in, but we're right there at $5.
Yeah, I'm in New Mexico, so 450.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I don't think anybody's really escaping the high prices right now, and yeah, just hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, there's a a good answer on the horizon, or it doesn't go further the other direction. But it's hard to say. But, so.
Mhm. Right, right.
So, but so how did you get into doing the stunt jobs though in the movies and things? Were you approached or did you try out?
No, I was known because of the
Yeah.
Olympic gold medal, and it was right about that time that they needed someone who was a tall, thin, red-haired lady to stunt double an actress named of Fiona Shaw. And so that was my first movie, Undercover Blues, and it just never really stopped from there. I moved down to Los Angeles and just did everything from barbed wire to the Terminator movies, Charlie's Angels, you name it. 20 years of stair falls, car hits, crashes through windows, falls off of things into things.
Wow. So I guess the back healed at least temporarily. How was hopefully you don't have too many injuries from that. I know there's a lot of stunt people that have had quite a few injuries from their years as stuntmen or women.
Yeah, unfortunately, I chose to do the physical sports or the physical aspects of stunts. And so I got called and asked to do the heavier stunts like stair falls and car hits and horse drags and stuff like that. So I ended up probably with over 20 concussions.
Oh
And
wow.
there's something called CTE, chronic, I can't even say it, chronic encephalopathy, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And a lot of the football players get it, a lot of the boxers get it, a lot of the ice hockey players get it. And it's actually damage to your brain that is permanent, that is irreversible. And in a lot of the athletes who persist and in getting these shots to the head end up usually with anger, temper issues, just very, very kind of a mean-spirited demeanor.
Yeah. Well, you seem very nice, so I guess you at least that part didn't affect you. Yeah, I have seen some examples, and I mean, the most egregious, of course, was Aaron Hernandez, the New England player that ended up murdering a few people, and I wonder if that's if he would have been that kind of person if he hadn't taken the amount of hits and things that he had, and of course, talking to fighters and a lot, yeah, some of them don't speak the way that they used to and stuff, and some of them are more fortunate. So,
right, you just never know. And the thing is, you can't actually analyze it until you're actually dead, until you have an autopsy. That's the only way to truly diagnose it. I mean, they come up with a neurologist that says, okay, I think you have it, but here we're not sure.
So there was no test or anything that you ever had for anything like that then?
Oh yeah, lots of tests.
Oh, okay. They just can't see the damage in the brain.
Exactly. They can see partial damage, and they attribute it to X factor, that being the CTE, but it's not forcibly uh, that is definitely 100%.
Yeah, I know they did, of course, look at Aaron Hernandez's brain afterwards, and I think he was like 27, and they said they had never seen a brain that looked like that in someone so young, that he'd taken so
Yeah,
many hits.
yeah. There's a movie called Concussion, and it's a very interesting movie, and it's about one black professor who fights the industry, because the industry football is huge, and they want to cover it up because they don't want football to go away.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting movie.
Yeah, it's one I've meant to watch, and I still never have. I need to make time and watch that, because I think it was at least loosely based on a real person, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
Yeah, and with Will Smith, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll have to check that out. And I mean, at the time, I remember they were, talking about a lot of things and changing things in the NFL. And maybe I was a little bit too much of a tough guy back then, and I was saying, oh, I don't want him to, I don't want him to take away the hard hits and different things like that, because my probably favorite football player ever was a defensive guy. His name was John Lynch. And I mean, not the biggest guy, but I imagine he probably gave a few people CT in his time. I mean, just if you ever looked up like John Lynch highlights, I mean, this guy just sent people flying. And yeah, I don't think he could play in the league today, but I guess now with what we know, it's probably a good thing definitely a good thing that they have those more safety precautions.
Yeah, it's definitely something for the youngsters. Being that it's your own children who are exposed to that can be a very scary thing.
Yeah, I don't think kids should play tackle football. I imagine, that we're not unique to anywhere else. I've seen signs here for tackle football. I see one day for 10-year-olds. I'm like, what are you doing? I couldn't get behind that at all. And my daughter was a wrestler, and then she'd had some interest in MMA. She's 19 now, and still had. And I said, honey, when you're 18, you can do what you want. She was like 16, but please don't do anything where you get punched in the head. That was just because I watch fights all the time. I've watched probably thousands of fights and known fighters and stuff, and it's like, I don't want my kid to get punched in the head.
And they've done that 20 times at least.
Wow. Yeah, that's I'm sure you probably had a couple concussions from Taekwondo too.
A few.
Yeah.
But most of them are stunt related. One of them lasted a year in entirety. Stuff like you would fumble with your keys, trying to figure out which key to open the front door, and you would be there for 10 minutes, something that you would automatically know. That and anger issues are a huge one. Memory issues are a huge one. Boy, you name it.
Yeah, I hope they're able to continue to make progress in that field. I know there's people that are working. There's like a CT clinics out there that have helped veterans and athletes and things, and make some progress, but it seems like there's a long ways to go.
Right.
What was it? It was I think it was Kat Zingano, and she had to where she was not able. They didn't think she was ever going to fight again, when she's in the UFC and now she's in Bellator, but after taking some shots against Amanda Nunes in a fight that she actually won. So most people were probably thinking, oh, that wasn't the riskiest thing. And yeah, she thought that she was really, if you listen to her interview, I didn't think, she didn't really think that she was ever going to be like normally functioning again, and had a lot of therapy and stuff, and ended up getting back to fighting. But
Absolutely. There's a lot of training therapies that you can do to help try to reconnect your brain and start reinstigate basically. Like listening to classic music while working is one of them. It's one of the ways that you reconnect to your brain.
very cool. Yeah, my daughter's actually going to college. She wants to be a music therapist. So they work, yeah, with people with CTE. I'm sure they'll work with a lot of people with, with autism, Alzheimer's, all kinds of different things like that. I was pretty surprised how much they were, they think that they can and will be able to do with music. It's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. Some of my earlier movies were a lot of fun because I didn't really know the ropes. And I actually got asked out by Sylvester Stallone at one point in time.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't know the ropes. And so I wanted to be careful and safe, and I didn't want to just be a lay. And so I asked my girlfriend to come with me, and we showed up on set, and everything was proper and protocol and everything else. And Sly was like, "Oh, hey, Dana, how you doing?" And then once I introduced him to my girlfriend, he was like, he didn't say a word. He just turned and walked away with his bodyguard, and that was it. But it turns out that he was actually seeing another lady. He was engaged to another lady at that time, another tall red-haired lady.
Oh, so he was living up to that name Sly a little bit, huh?
Yeah, Sly.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of different kind of stories like that, but that's interesting. I don't know what that guy does to stay in shape, though. I will say, I mean, that guy's in his 70s and he's done movies to where it's like, man, he looks like he's 45. It's
oh no, he's amazing.
Yeah.
He's amazing. I'm trying to think of someone else. Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger is definitely no slouch too.
Yeah, because you worked with, he was in the Batman Forever, or was it Batman and Robin?
Terminator.
Yeah, he was in Terminator. I thought he played Mr. Freeze in one of the Batmans too. Maybe not the same one,
Oh,
but
right.
yeah.
Yes. Correct.
But so how much were you around him or got to see him during the Terminator films?
Not actually that much. We filmed first and second unit, and so a lot of times the actors themselves are on first unit. With Stallone, I filmed actually with him on second unit, where it was a glimpse of Sandra Bullock's hair, and then me next to Sly. And the interesting thing is that I was pretty tall. I mean, I am pretty tall, and Sly was taller than I am, so I didn't really think much about it. And but every time I knew that I had to compare the heights between Sandra Bullock and him, so they're different like this.
Yeah.
And so I would walk with my knees crouched in order to relay that effect. And then he joked about it. He says, "Well, you're taller than I am," and I'm like thinking, "I am."
That's interesting, but it'd be hard, I would imagine, at first to even do your job around some of those some of those big stars and things. But
And then you have people like Johnny Depp and Rene Russo and Cameron Diaz, who are just sweethearts, just really, really, really good people. Keanu Reeves is another one. George Clooney's another one. Just really good people.
I've always heard from everybody that Keanu Reeves, it's like that he's a really good guy. Yeah.
Mhm.
The other ones I don't hear as much about, but so do you
Yes.
watch fighting now or martial arts, or do you follow any of it at all?
Well, all of that other stuff is going to be in my dirty laundry. My,
Yeah, well, we'll save some of it. Yeah. Everybody's got to buy the book.
but no, I love watching film now, especially when they're doing really cool twists and acrobatics, in with the fight stuff. And I'm like you, I'm a very I can be very down on fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very very down on some of the girl fights.
Can you think of anybody besides the first Mortal Kombat show that you were in that did it really well or does it really well?
Well, we actually had several in the first Mortal Kombat movie. Bridget Wilson was a phenomenal martial artist. And Ken, I can't think of his last name, but he was amazing. So, and then in the Mortal Kombat TV series, we had the best of the best of the best.
That's got to be really cool to work with. I wish those stupid producers, I don't know if it's the money or whatever, and they get in there and they think they know it all, and I don't know. I'm sure they do everything else better than what I would do, but it's like the fight scenes. It's like, why can't you just do a fight scene right? There's people that know how to do this.
Well, we're all hired for a professional reason.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I was talking about Cobra Kai, and I don't know if you've watched any of that or not. The Netflix series that's out now, that comes after Karate Kid. But I will say there's one martial artist on there. I think it's named Silver. I'm not sure what his real name is, but he combines with Kreese to do the dojo there. And his moves are legit. He's got a really good spinning back fist. Everything stands out because pretty much no one else has good martial arts in that show. But I definitely noticed his.
Oh, very cool. It's nice to see that.
Yeah.
It's really cool some of the super movies to see some of the really cool action that is incorporated into the fight scenes.
Yeah, and there is some really good ones. I talk about like all the bad ones, but Jet Li, man, I wish he was healthier. I know he's gotten older now, but when he started getting in bigger movies, like with Lethal Weapon 4, you got really good fight scenes. I'm imagining he helped probably write some of the fight scenes and things too. And when he was able to go outside of just like a kung fu movie, with what they call it before, like one was a sci-fi film. It's a totally different kind of film, but you had really good martial arts in that. And that's what I really like a lot of times too. And it's like bring people in with other interests and then, show them martial arts when they.
Yeah, one of my favorites is Kill Bill series. I was supposed to be stunt doubling for Uma Thurman and had an injury, so I couldn't do it. But I really enjoyed the fight scenes there.
Yeah, that's an incredible movie. Yeah, I love her. Of course, David Carradine, and yeah, they did a really good job on that. maybe a little extra on the blood from how it would have been, but I think they were kind of going for that, like a little bit of comic book style with the blood and things, but the martial arts are on point. And yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
few of those. So also Blade, I think Wesley Snipes is a martial artist. I think I did hear that he was a martial artist and looked like he definitely trained for that movie because, things kind of looked how they were supposed to, except for vampires, of course, but
Right. Yeah, a lot of the movies we do train the actresses, like Charlie's Angels, Drew Barrymore and Cameron Diaz and Lucy Liu. And they do the best that they can, and they can do an amazing amount. It's really, we try to reserve stunts for those things that are really, really dangerous. And then
yeah.
we prefer the cameos to be the actual actress on the scene.
Did you ever work with Halle Berry?
I never did.
I guess she trained a lot of martial arts she's got a new movie out on Netflix. I haven't seen that either. I don't end up watching a lot of TV, but it is one I want to catch. I've heard it is really good, and she got pretty good at martial arts through that. Trained a lot, so.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
She has the body for it too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we got the books. We got 2 of the books out there and 1 coming, or 2 coming.
Yes,
2 out there and 2 coming, so 4 altogether.
we do. The third one is The Fly in the Kitchen Window, and basically it's all those things, those handicaps that we experience in life that keep the fly pouncing against the window instead of scurrying out the front door.
That's an interesting analogy. Is that kind of like an analogy for like when you self-sabotage yourself, or just not able to move
Absolutely.
past?
Self-sabotage. I call it my bullish nature. It's a benefit and it's not a benefit, depending on how it's being used. And so literally it's all those handicaps that we experience in life. A lot of us experience this, and it's how to overcome those handicaps. And so I call it the fly in the kitchen window.
I like that. I really like that analogy. And I imagine as a female coming into this, it probably helps to be a little more authoritative sometimes, because some people, I mean, maybe this wasn't your experience, but, maybe some people didn't give you as much of a chance, or take you as seriously sometimes. Did that ever ring true?
Absolutely. I had a very, very difficult time training for the Olympics. Our school did not compete in the Olympic style of competition. And so I had to reach outside and beyond my scope in order to get the skills and the training in order to be able to compete at that level. So it's very, very difficult.
That's not something that was happening a lot at that time either. It was kind of like you were part of a dojo. I know it's like if you were part of a dojo, it's like you train at that dojo, and it's not like now where a lot of fighters are training with a lot of different instructors and camps and things. It's like you're part of this dojo. This is where you belong. Did your sensei or your dojo, did they recommend another place for you to train?
Not so much my sensei or my instructor. But I would reach out and I would find the best of the best to train with. If you want to be the best, train with the best. And so that's what I did.
So, well, as far as martial arts, I think you were ahead of your time some on that, because I mean, as I've watched MMA evolve, I mean, you had from guys that were literally training in their garage. I mean, you had like Matt Hughes and Rich Franklin. I think they said they watched some VHS tapes and trained in their backyard. And, you know, and then some guys like Pat Militich and Frank Shamrock and things, they started to get teams and things together. But yeah, I think the martial arts community was, like I said, I think it was kind of like you're in this dojo and this is where you train. So that's pretty cool. You were able to get out and train with, you know, with other instructors and other students and things.
Yes, yeah, that was my forte. And that was the reason that I was able to win.
Very cool. Yeah, and maybe that's not an issue with Taekwondo. It really, I didn't hear about it a whole lot with judo. I've heard about it mostly with jiu-jitsu. I know it was a huge deal with jiu-jitsu for a while. It's like it would be like you were turning your back on your sensei to go to train somewhere else. But then like in judo, yeah, we had a couple other schools that sometimes we would go over, and you know, they were friends of our instructor, and you just work with them. It wasn't a big deal. But yeah. Do you watch any fighting now though? Do you watch any like UFC or Bellator or anything like that?
I don't as much anymore. I was a big fan of boxing, but not so much for the UFC. It's changed nowadays because I'm right now watching actors and directors to see who will fit for my movie. So the genre has changed right now. So I'm watching actresses and directors.
Ah, okay. Okay, yeah, I grew up watching a lot of boxing, of course, because I mean, MMA, nobody really knew about it until 93, 94, and then a lot of people much later. But so you're working on your own movie right now?
I have a producer out of Los Angeles who's the executive producer. And so he's pulling everything together.
Okay. Very, very cool. Similar to your books that are coming out?
Well, basically the script was made from the book, and basically the movie is following the script. And then right now we're trying to piece together the director and the actors, and we're looking at top billing actors right now.
Okay. Very cool. Well, I hope you're able to get the best of the best, like you were able to train with in Taekwondo. So I'll look forward to that coming out. Well, we'll put up your books. Of course, everybody go out, buy the books. From what I've heard, very cool. I'm looking forward to reading some of them myself, and the movie. Thank you so much for doing this.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. So, all right, everybody. Thank you, Dana He. Everyone, did I pronounce your name right? I'm sorry. All right.
Got it right. No, you're supposed to say Dana who? Dana He.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again. For Dana and myself, as always, I love you. I respect you. And we'll see your fine asses next time.
Bye-bye. Take care.